Yeah. How do you go about like pricing your services?
So, fun story about my first client, that my first high paying client. I think we had the conversation about price early on, and they asked me, how much are you going to charge? And I was originally planning to say $200 a day. I slipped up and said $200 an hour. But when you work in sales, in certain situations, the first person that speaks loses the negotiation.
Mm.
So I messed up and said $200 an hour, and I said nothing after that. I just
Oh,
looked at them, and they agreed. So that's how I ended up with a rate of $200 an hour. Since then,
best paying mistake you ever made, huh?
right.
What's up, y'all? It's Elijah Bilel from the Side Hustler Society podcast, coming at y'all with, I'll say just all things side hustle. Y'all know I'm the king of side hustles, but this season we're really focusing on how to remove the word side and become a full-time hustler. That's why I'm glad that we're going to be having this show today, because my guest, James Travis, is probably the embodiment of freelancing. See, it's important to be able to, I'll say, secure long-term contracts with select clients, as well as know how to operate on a short-term basis too. I'll just kind of break that down briefly. See, if you manage to score a contract with whatever your trader skill is, and that contract lasts for, let's say, 6 months to a year, you're building steady income. So that would technically be the same as, a quote unquote job, right? The only difference is you can usually negotiate higher pay, because if they're not going to give you benefits, they should be paying you more. But my point is, there's a stereotype that being self employed, your income is chaotic. And it can be chaotic if you set it up that way. But you can also set it up to have a more steady form of income if you know what you're doing. And that's what me and James are going to kind of be talking about in this show. James is actually a drone pilot, but he does offer different services such as photography, piloting drones, getting drone footage, selling drone footage, as well as some videography. He's become a full time entrepreneur, not out of will, but necessity. After being forced out of his full time job, he decided he owed it to himself to give entrepreneurship a shot after spending his final year in corporate learning and earning money from using drones and cameras. With that bio done, let's go ahead and bring James on the show and run that intro.
Welcome to the Side Hustlers Society podcast, the place where you can find out more about the hustles that are best for you. And of course, make more money in the process. Elijah has been in the gig economy and freelance space for over 8 years and has done over 4,000 deliveries on Uber Eats. Has several video editing clients, many properties on Airbnb, runs multiple YouTube channels, and is the author of the best-selling book, The Anatomy of Financial Success. It's his mission to empower people with the tools needed to be successful. Now, welcome your host, the king of the side hustles, Elijah Bilel.
Okay, welcome, my fellow side hustlers. So, as y'all know from the intro, we have James Travis here, and I've actually known him for, I want to say, maybe approaching 2 years, somewhere between 2 years and a year and a half.
That's
But
all right.
yeah, but James, how's your day going so far?
Man, everything's been going great. Just had the opportunity to just do some follow-up calls. I had a great opportunity over the weekend to shoot a major event that happened in DFW. If you don't already know, a corridor for I-30 got shut down, and they had a chance to destroy some bridges. So I got a chance to cover that for the demolition company.
Oh, wow. I saw some people taking like amateur footage on their cell phone. And as
Hmm.
I was driving home from Dallas yesterday, I was on 30, and it clicked in my head like, oh gosh, like, are they finished? Is there going to be traffic? But I looked on my Waze app and I saw that it was all clear. There was no traffic. So as I'm driving, it just occurred to me that, wait, there's no longer a bridge. Like, you're driving and the sun is out. Usually there's that brief, it's like, it just wasn't there. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, wow. So this is what it actually looks like when it's gone. It's like,
Right, right. So I'm guessing you were headed east, right?
yes, I was.
Okay, okay. I think they did half the bridge, so I think the one going west is still there.
Right, right. Yeah, that it was. It's been there quite literally my whole life. So just not seeing it there it kind of took me back for a sec. Like I don't actually know what the game plan is construction wise for like what are they going to do. Do you
Mhm.
have any insight on that potentially?
Yeah, I know the company that's gonna be doing the rebuild is gonna take about 2 years.
Hmm. Okay.
So the whole idea behind the project is they're going to widen the corridor,
Hmm.
and allow some more lanes in. So that's what they're going to be doing. So they did the first, I wouldn't say first half, but they did like part of it over this past weekend, and they're going to do the remainder of it. Um, it's to be determined because the weather's supposed to be bad this weekend. So I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do it.
This is our first transition into becoming Los Angeles and New York, and I'm real excited for that. Yeah, no, the traffic. Oh, but since we're talking about local stuff, I'll kind of fall back on that because a lot of people do listen to us from the local DFW, but
Okay.
everyone else they're kind of like this doesn't really apply to us. So y'all stop talking about that. Fair enough. Fair enough. But I will say one thing that I know the audience is interested in, and I am too, because I actually didn't know this until I actually read your bio. But in your bio, you mentioned that like you were forced out of like your previous job. Um, so do you want to tell us some details about that? Like
Yeah. Yeah, of
yeah,
course. Um, so I worked for a company. I don't really know if I should say the name, but it's a very well-known
you don't have to
company.
disclose what it is. You
All
maybe
right,
just
all
give
right.
a description of what you did.
Okay, okay. Well, I worked at a very well-known company for about 8 years. At least a third of the United States has used at least one of the products. What I did, I worked in sales for them. So it was a fairly demanding job, but the reason why I took the job right out of college was because I wanted to have sales experience.
Mm.
Sales is one of the things that uh, I knew that I could use for the rest of my career. I knew I would be selling something, whether that would be like not selling physical products, but selling maybe ideas and stuff like that. So I thought that having sales experience up front would help out. Well, anyway, 8 years later, I came to the end of my career at that company. And normally, whenever I know locally around here, when people try to get you out of a company, they basically try to make your life unbearable. And that's essentially what was going on. They had you, what do you call those things where you get put on a PIP? You get put on a performance plan. I was put on a performance plan like consecutively for 2 years. So starting from 2020 to 2022, I was on
Mm.
PIPs. I survived every last one of them until I was just like, I really don't have to take this. I been saving like the money that I was making from that company from honestly my first paycheck. So it sounds a little psychotic when I say it back, but I was saving for like my first 3 or so years at that company, like 30% of my paychecks. So I would just, take 30% of every single paycheck that I receive, and then I would put it into a savings account. I did that for about 3 years, and then, cost of living got so high that I had to scale back a little bit, but I was always putting a certain percentage of my paycheck into my savings account. And of course, like I was investing on top of that.
Mhm.
So I was doing like my 401k, and then eventually I picked up a Roth IRA as well. But I saved a lot of money, and there was no reason for me to continue with that job, and just honestly putting up with that treatment. So in 2022, I finally decided that it was my time to go.
Got you. So they put you on a PIF during the pandemic because you said 2020.
Yeah, yeah. So I was on a PIP during the
Wow.
pandemic, and I survived it. They give you like stipulations and stuff like that. I did whatever it was that I needed to do, and then they did it again in 2021, and then I had another one in 2022, and I was just like, forget this. This isn't worth it.
Right, right. So I don't know if you're part of the club. I'll just go ahead and ask. Almost everyone I've had on the show this season, because we're focusing on surviving without a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
We've all admitted that we're psychologically unemployable now. So are you part of that club? Are you psychologically unemployable?
I've never thought of it that way. Honestly, I've thought of it like the way that I thought about it was that if this doesn't work out, at least I have a good story to tell whenever I'm like sitting down at a job interview.
Makes sense. Well, if anything, one thing that you definitely would have in your pocket is you have experience working as a contractor, and that puts you in a strong negotiation, even if you're sitting in front of people. Like, uh, I think people underestimate this when they think of like freelancer or self-employment. They automatically like assume, okay, you're going to be working for yourself, and that's just going to be the end of the dynamic. But that doesn't mean you can't actually sit down and have a traditional interview with like a quote unquote job. And
Mm-hmm.
let's say everything goes well and they want to offer you something, you're going to say, well, look, I don't want to be an employee. I'm an independent contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just set it up like that. But with that being the case, I know y'all aren't going to be paying me any benefits. So this amount that you offered, how about we talk about raising that, since I'm going to be less expensive since I'm not going to be an employee?
That's actually a really good strategy.
Yeah. And you'll, a lot of times they'll go for it, like, well, heck yeah, we don't have to hire you as an employee. Let's go for it. Okay, well, that means I want better terms. Can we talk about me coming in on these hours, and let's raise my rate somewhat since I'm not an employee, and then we could renew this contract in about a year if it's working out, and we can just keep doing it on those terms. It changes the dynamics so completely, but you still maintain your self autonomy, which is beautiful.
That is very true.
Yeah, but the school system doesn't raise us to be independent thinkers or contractors. It's meant to breed employees, so it doesn't come to mind to even do some of this stuff.
Mm, I feel as if I've had a pretty decent education. Um, a lot of the some of the education I received like in elementary and maybe middle school was focused on critical thinking. So just being able to I don't know, how do you say it, like I wouldn't say deductive reasoning. That's more like well, no, deductive reasoning, because it would be sometimes you have a limited amount of options, and you can kind of imagine what those options will, what kind of outcomes those options will lead you to. And then that just leads to you picking the best one. I don't think school basically explains that very well, but I do think that there is some value in some of the things that school teaches you, but it's very abstract.
Hmm. That's an interesting take. I will say this: you're talking to someone that, I'm not going to say I'm anti-school, because I'm not. I'm
Uh-huh.
very pro-education, but I do think the way that schools teach is very inferior given the results that life demands of you, especially when it comes to finances and things like that.
Um,
You have a
I
more
think
optimistic way of looking at it, and I can respect that.
yeah, in a way, because like I've seen my kids' math homework, and there is a lot of personal finance and math homework, and I bet he doesn't even see it, but it's like explicitly there. It's like talking to them about like finances, and if I wouldn't say if Johnny had three apples, but um,
Okay.
but if yeah, it does talk to him a lot about finances. Obviously taxes aren't covered in school, but honestly, like if you've ever like filled out like personal tax forms, if you know how to read and you know how to like fill in like appropriate boxes, doing personal taxes is pretty easy.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, but I will say I'll put a fork in this because this is my financial anatomy side coming out. Since this is side hustle society, they like hearing it a little, like, but if I go too heavy into it, like, I can watch your other channel for that. Let's stick to making the money, not budgeting and the investing and stuff like that. Fair enough, fair enough.
That's
But I
very
think,
true. But for me personally, I feel like one led to the other. if you know what I mean. So like if I didn't have my finances I didn't have my finances correct, I couldn't be doing the things that I do.
No, you're right. There are two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it comes down to a personal problem. Everyone is going to have a problem with making more money or learning how to budget and spend that money correctly. Depending on your personality, one is going to be a bigger problem for you to learn. And that's part of the reason I started Financial Anatomy, so you can find out which one of the six financial personalities you are. And then you can see what your strengths or weaknesses are and really work on them from there.
I
Like
think
I
you
can
got a point
tell,
with that.
huh?
I said I think you have a point with that because my personal problem is being able to spend.
Well, yeah, you just said that you were saving 30% of your paycheck when you were an employee. Like
Mm-hmm.
you probably, I mean, I have a personality test you can take to verify if you're this personality. But me being the creator of the personalities, I can kind of tell by talking to someone, you come off as a builder, and their emotional strengths are, well, guess what? Investing and saving. Yeah, do that automatically. It's
Yep.
easy, but spending money
Easy.
on yourself, it's kind of hard.
In a way. Like, for example, I love like making big purchases. Like, for example, I remember back in 2016, I went and like bought a motorcycle one weekend because I was like, I'm tired of my old motorcycle. I've crashed it.
Oh.
It's I don't really trust the bike anymore. Let's go get a BMW. And that's what I ended up doing. But that's because I was able to like save all that money ahead of time. So like anything that I wanted to buy, I could just buy it.
Hmm. Right. Since I name dropped Financial Anatomy in the Financial Personality Report, I'll go ahead
Mhm.
and mention that anyone that's interested in getting their Financial Personality Report, it is free. Just go to www.thesidehustlersociety.com and click on Store. And you scroll down, you'll see the Financial Personality Report. And that's for the audio listeners. If you're watching on YouTube or somewhere that has a description, there's a link that you can click on. It'll take you right to it. So go ahead and grab yours today so you can learn how to take advantage of that information. But leaving the financial anatomy aside, I think that's actually a good transition into overall, what is it that you do? I know you do a few things, but I'll let you explain it for the audience.
I do one thing and I do one thing well. I fly drones for companies. So I use drones and cameras to create either content or document a work site for a company.
Hmm. Okay. And would you categorize yourself as a photographer or videographer in any way, or not so much?
Um, I use those terms only because that's what people are familiar with. But I
Right.
do like to say that I'm a drone pilot. I use drones to create photography and videography. Obviously, I do have like a camera that I can use on the ground as well, and I do offer those services. But I do like to lead first and foremost with the drone stuff that I do because that's my bread and butter. That's what I'm best at.
Yeah, probably the most lucrative too. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're gonna get into that, but me, I mean, I'm a semi techie. I'm not gonna say I'm a full tech person, but semi. And I know like people will pay premiums for drone footage because not that many people are willing to get a drone and even know how to fly it and getting clearance to even fly and capture footage. So if you want to do all that, you're going to be one of the few, both locally and to some degree even nationally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So like, what does a typical day look like for you as you said a drone pilot, right? So like you wake up in the morning and your day gets started to the point where you go to sleep. What does a typical day look like for you?
I'm pretty structured in how I set up my day. Um, I'm an early bird, so I kind of know like personally, I like to do all my best work in the morning. So I'll wake up, real early, go to the gym, come back home, eat breakfast. I'll start working around 8:30 or 9, and from about 9 to 12. Have you ever side question, have you ever went to ISS in school? In school suspension?
One day in middle school. So
Okay,
yes.
okay. So you might know that like if you went to in-school suspension, you get like all your classes worth of work and you do like all your you sit down and do the work and you'll realize that it takes
I
from whenever
I,
school
I can
starts.
I can finish it for you if you want me
Yeah.
to. Because
Yeah.
when that happened, I realized pretty quick that you're in there the whole day, but it only takes half a day for you to finish your
Not even
whole
half a
days.
day. It's like 2 hours.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
rest of the time, it's almost like you're in jail sitting in solitary. It's like there's nothing to do. You're sitting in this cubicle and you have to. I mean, you can go to sleep, but that's gonna get old after a while. So it's like, and then it's finally lunch break. Like, gosh, I can move my freaking legs. Good grief, gosh.
Mm-hmm. But the point that I'm trying to make with the in-school suspension reference is the work that you do, like, that when you're used to working like a 9 to 5, all that work could probably be condensed down into about 2 or 3 hours. And
Mhm.
that's what I end up doing with my work personally. I work from about 9 to 12. I eat lunch at around 12. And if I feel like working again, I might do another hour. And then everything after that, I spend either learning something new. Right now, I'm learning about going deep into like storytelling using video. So that's what I'm working on right now. Next, I'm going to be working on doing 3D imaging using drones. So I keep a roster of things that I want to continuously learn. But my day is basically structured by, going to the gym, doing the work that I have to do like for my business first. And even while I'm at the gym, I bring business cards with me. I have a stack of business cards pretty much around me at any given time, and I'm just emailing the people that I've came in contact with, just following up with them, trying to see if they have any work that they need coverage for. So I spend pretty much my entirety of the morning either following up on networking leads or working on some of the projects that I've recently finished up with. Then after that, obviously I eat lunch. I go into learning mode after that, and then when the kids get off of school, I'm free for the rest of the day unless I have a shoot, or just depends on how the rest of the day goes.
Hmm. Now that I think about it, man, we bumped into each other several times throughout the 2 years that we known each other, and
Hmm.
most of these events are in the evening. Now that I think about it, with the exception of I think that event in Mansville, where it's like a business expo or something. Yeah, that was up in the day, but yeah,
Yeah,
that would.
yeah. So I mean, I can pretty much build my schedule around like those events as well. So if I know that I'm going to have an event to go to, I can obviously cut work short in the morning time, or just like work a little bit in the evening, or I just do more work the day before or something like that. So I don't have to carry the work over into the next day.
Interesting. So you build learning into your schedule. I like that.
Hmm. Otherwise, it's not going to get done.
Yeah, nicely put.
And just to build on that, I had to do that when I was working a full-time job. To be a drone pilot, you have to be licensed. So I had to study to get the Part 107 license. So I had to build that into my day. So during my lunch break and maybe I think an hour and a half after work, those would be like my designated times to basically study. I did that for, I think it was about 4 to 6 weeks, studied every day. I think I studied for like 4 weeks, did 2 weeks of just doing practice tests just to see that, like when I take this test, I know I'm going to pass. Um, and that's how I made sure that I was able to, like secure that license before I left my job.
And how does one go about getting that license? Like, what's the process?
It's really easy. You just have to schedule a test session with with the FAA. The main thing about it is you do need like to study, so you have to like use like study materials. There are some free sites online. I don't really like the free stuff. The reason why is because the information isn't digestible. I used a paid service called Pilot Institute. It honestly costs like $100. And when you get the license, you do one job and you get your money back. So it's worth the money.
You know, I forgot who said it, but someone basically said that the paid stuff that's available for pretty much anything is pretty much the free stuff, but in a more digestible, structured, ordered way that supports you learning the actual thing. So just go
And
ahead
on
and spend
top
the
of
money.
that,
Huh?
hmm? No, I was gonna say, and on top of that, the paid stuff is more structured than the free stuff. And when you get the paid stuff, sometimes the free stuff there will be holes in your learning. So sometimes I do buy courses where about things that I already know, but I want to make sure that I'm filling in the gaps in my knowledge because the information that I consumed was like free stuff only. And sometimes like the information that you're learning builds off the old information and you just don't know, a certain concept because you just never thought to look it up. So that's the thing about paid courses. It'll teach you stuff that you didn't even think about wanting to know about.
Yeah, I'm a fan of studying like other cultures, and like in the Bazi or the like Chinese culture, this is known as like unorthodox learning. When you're just like learning information that's just kind of out there and available, and it's not too hard to get. That has its place in learning, but then there's orthodox learning, which is learning directly from a course or a school or institution, or directly from like a mentor. And the unorthodox should only be supporting the orthodox learning. But
Mhm.
if you just do unorthodox learning, that's dangerous, and you can end up, hurting your results because there could be some holes in what you're learning or some holes in the overall concept because it hasn't been structured to make sure that from A to Z you've learned the material.
Right, right.
Hmm. Yes, I actually want people to take note of that because I think there's a big anti-course culture nowadays. Uh,
And for
And
good reason.
yes, and for good reason, but we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Realizing that courses and like paid stuff has its place in the market because of what we talked about. And to be honest, and I'm speaking from someone who has courses available, making a course for you, I can focus specifically on getting you the result that you want instead of trying to entertain your attention span. Because if I put this on YouTube, I have to think about the fact that there's a cat trying to jump over a table video right next to what you're watching, and you're tempted to click on that. But like the paid course, there's no distractions, and you can fully dive into what we're talking about.
That's very true. I think what listeners would find valuable is like knowing how to vet a course, to know like if it's worth their money essentially. Because this is what I do. For any creator that has a course, I look at the free stuff that they offer. If I can use their information that they teach for free, to earn enough money to buy the course, I think their course is worth its weight in gold. So that's how I vet the courses that I buy.
Good way to vet. That's how I do too. I hadn't actually thought about it, but I kind of remember when I bought Sean Rocky G's course on basically how to set up a Airbnb, right? And I
Hmm.
had already made like probably like $5,000 from his free information. So then he has a course on it, and it's like $500, and it's about pricing strategy. Financially, I went and bought it, and it like three times my income.
I mean,
So
yeah, those
yeah,
courses pay for themselves, honestly.
yeah. And we're talking about the side hustle society. You can write it off, not tax advice, entertainment purposes only. So yeah. Did you know that around 75% of Americans are actually dehydrated? And even though, according to ChatGPT, this number is greatly exaggerated, it's definitely not going to hurt to drink more water. When you're dehydrated, it affects your mental conditioning, it affects you physically, and you just tend to feel overall icky. This will sink into your productivity, which will in turn affect your money. This is why you want to make sure you stay hydrated. I found the easiest way to do this is just to have water available. So keep water with you no matter where you go. Eventually, you're going to get thirsty, then you'll take a swig of water, like I just did right now. Once you get in the habit of doing this, just drink more water each time you quote unquote get thirsty. And before you know it, you'll become more hydrated and you'll feel a lot better, which in turn will translate to you being able to make more money. That's our health tip for today. Let's get back to the show. But speaking of pricing, how does one go about like pricing your services as a drone pilot? Or yeah, how do you go about like pricing your services?
Man, that has been one of the toughest things that I've been trying to work out. So, fun story about my first client, that my first high paying client. I think we had the conversation about price early on, and they asked me, how much are you going to charge? And I was originally planning to say $200 a day. I slipped up and said $200 an hour. But when you work in sales, in certain situations, the first person that speaks loses the negotiation. So I messed up and said $200 an hour, and I said nothing after that. I just looked at them, and they agreed. So that's how I ended up with a rate of $200 an hour. Since then,
Best paying mistake you ever made, huh?
right.
Oh man.
Since then, I've increased my prices, but negotiation is always it's always about knowing who your client is and knowing what the market is willing to pay for. So most of my clients are either in the entertainment or construction industry. And just knowing like what that clientele looks for and expects, you just have to know knowing what those clients look for and expect helps you figure out what the pricing is. And also what I found recently is that ChatGPT does help as far as like doing research on your competitors. So you can see like what they typically charge and try to put together a competitive offer based on that.
Okay, I got some questions. I'm pretty sure the audience does too. So when you said $200 an hour and like, you had that oh shit moment in your head, so there's silence. How long did that silence reverberate? Did it seem longer than it was? Did you say that and in your head like it took forever for him to say something back? But in reality, you just thought about it for like 5 or 10 seconds, like, okay.
No, my trick is whenever I want to like fake maintain eye contact, I look at the person's nose.
Since we're gonna get into like the sales and like maintaining confidence, I'll throw my 10 cents in there too. A lot of people struggle with like looking people in the eye. If that's a struggle, well, here's the thing: you don't want to have like wandering eyes where you don't even intend for them to wander, but they're wandering. If that's an issue for you, focus on one eye, either the right eye or the left eye, and just look at that eye the whole time. That will stop your eyes from wandering, because your eyes are wandering because you don't realize that you're actually going back and forth between those eyes. Just focus on one eye, and they're not gonna know you're focusing on just that one eye because you're still looking at them in the eyes, but your eyes won't be wandering.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. Never heard of that.
Yeah. But the second question, it's more so a statement. I think that's real smart using AI or ChatGPT. Just do some competitive research so you can expand your awareness of the pricing in that industry. Then you'll kind of know like figuring out there's 3 market price points. There's the cheapest, there's the middle, and then there's the highest price. And you can figure out where you fall in that mix, but you do need to know what are those numbers starting out. And ChatGPT could be a great way to find that out without you having to do all this independent research or finding out through trial and error.
Right. And there's always a market for high quality. So honestly, if there's always going to be a market for high quality, why not go for that? Subsection?
There's a story from Robert Kiyosaki's Before I Quit My Job or Young Retired, which one of those. But I remember he was talking to one of his friends, and he was tired of like dealing. People were saying he was too expensive. He's a consultant. So he lowered his rates, and he found that he started to hate what he was doing because he spent so much time haggling with his customers about like his prices instead of actually serving them. So one day he just said, you know what, I'm raising my rates to the highest in my industry. And what happened was he now works with a better quality client and he has less clients, but still makes the same money, if not more money. So he has more of his time back. And it's the best thing he's ever done.
My most expensive clients say thank you whenever I send work to them.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, whenever I've had like lower cost clients, there's always like little requests that I'm happy to accommodate, but higher cost clients don't really ask for much. All they really do is they just ask you to like show up, and that's it.
Yeah. Because they've already done the math in their head and they know the outcome that's going to come. You're making them 4 to 5 times, but you're paying them by doing your service. And they know it. So just show up, be on time, do a good job, and they're making their money, they're happy, and then they're going to hire you again.
Yep.
And if it's more of a one-off thing, you'd be surprised. These people are very chatty people. Your phone will start ringing like, hey, my colleague Paul referred you for your service. Like, are you taking new clients?
Oh yeah, that's how I got to work with the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, that's beautiful. But actually, this is a great segue into like the next question. So as far as like gigs go, in your case, because I've lost count of how many times I bumped into you at like different types of events. And with that being the case, are your gigs more like multi-gigged when per client, or are they more sporadic? Like when you're talking to a client, is it more common that like, okay, y'all talk and y'all work something out, and you'll be doing your service for them for the next few months or maybe a month or two? Or is it more so one-offs for like, I just need you for this week?
The way that my clients projects are, it takes them a long time to get through a project. So a lot of times, for example, a lot of times I try to like tie myself to a project. So let's say for example, if they're like building a school, it's going to take the one that's going on south of Dallas right now is, I think, estimated to take like 3 years. And so I'm basically just tying myself to that project. We worked out an agreement where I show up, once a month. I give them like a progress update of the school. Sometimes they ask for a little bit more, like they'll ask for like a map or something like that. And I can easily do that. So, I'll charge a little bit more that month. But yeah, what I try to do is like try to make myself like a presence in their company. So a little bit of a way to make myself indispensable.
Right. So when you go out and get these clients, you're going into it with the mindset of, hey, I want you to be a long-term client. I want to be here for the duration of the whole project, not a one-off. So that plays
Exactly.
a role in how you're kind of prospecting them. Am I right?
Exactly. So my first question to them most of the time is like, what projects are y'all working on right now? That's to get a good idea of what it is that they're doing and how it is that I can help them.
Awesome. I want everyone to take note of this because I think in sales, especially when you become self-employed, it's easy to get into this one-off mindset of I make $50 here, $200 here, $300 there, and like that's great now. Then you might need to do that when you're starting out, but develop a mentality of like, hey, I can actually structure this stuff to accommodate and serve them long term if I just take a different approach. Especially once you've already built a portfolio. Like the one offs, that can be more so just to establish your portfolio. But once you have some successes in your portfolio, start pushing for the longer contracts.
You know what? That's actually a really good point. When I first got started, I did have like a few one-offs. So I did have like all these random things that I wouldn't say I felt obligated to say yes to. I was really excited to say yes to like any kind of opportunity that arose. But in that, I learned what type of jobs that I like, what type of jobs I didn't like, what type of people I liked working with, what type of people were less fun to work with. So in all that experience, I got a chance to see like, the types of shoots that I like doing. and I got to build a portfolio as well. So almost anytime anyone asks me for something, I can show them, hey, I've done something similar to that already.
Right. And I think what we just said kind of answers this question. I'll still go ahead and ask it. I was going to ask you, like, how do you balance like needing enough gigs to meet like your income goals with having too many gigs that you won't be able to handle within a time frame? But that kind of goes back to the if you have so many one-offs, your schedule is just kind of unpredictable and chaotic. If you have a more structured approach like you have, well, you know your long-term clients and you know how much work you have to get done. So it's like, okay, do I have time for another client? It's either yes or no versus if you're stuck out in that one-off cycle, it's just more chaotic.
Yes, that's a great point. That's kind of how I decided to build my business. I tried to have like customers that were on like monthly retainers. So I'll have like certain clients that I can do work with every single month, but then like I fill in the remainder of my time like doing one-offs. For example, like I said over the weekend when they did the construction project, I had a one-off client literally right after that. So my schedule last Friday ran from I had to be on site at 10 p.m. I went from 10 p.m. to 6 or no 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. and then from there I went on to my next client from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So that was a long night and day. But
I imagine once you got home and you made contact with that bed, it was over. You were KO'd.
actually I fell asleep with the computer on top of me because I was trying to do my client that did the client that I did for Saturday morning was like a Martin Luther King event, and yeah, the event Martin Luther King Day was yesterday, so they needed the final product by Monday. So I was like going through like editing all the stuff that I needed to edit, and I literally fell asleep like while it was uploading. But
Well, at that point, you were pretty much done at that. It was just uploading. So
yeah. So I mean, I got through like all the stuff that I needed to get through as far as that client goes, and then like I woke up, and I got a chance to like review some of the work that I had done like the night before and the morning after. But yeah,
have you seen that new Superman movie, Superman 2025?
I have it.
Oh, well, never mind then. I don't want to spoil anything. Well,
All right.
it's not that big of a spoiler. It's just like there's a time you probably know that Crypto the dog is in there, right? Like a super dog.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of Crypto.
Yeah. There's a moment where Superman goes to sleep and he wakes up and like Crypto is just on top of him, just like looking at him. So you had that moment, but there's your computer staring at you. And it's kind of
Yeah.
Okay. Check it out if you have. If it sounds like you're into comic book stuff, I think you'll like it. It's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I've tried reading comics. I don't think comics are for me.
Well, not necessarily comics, but like maybe the movies.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, either it's for you or not. If it's not, you could always check out something else.
No. I know what you mean. I
I'll
do
be
like
honest.
watching superhero movies. I just don't, honestly.
Oh no, fair enough. Because I honestly, I've never really been into comics as in reading them because I associate reading with like self-development. When I read, I'm supposed to be a different person afterwards. I don't really read for fun or entertainment. And but I will watch a movie or a TV show that's based on that comic. But yeah,
I read for fun.
Yeah.
No, I think there's value in reading for fun. When you read fiction, you get to learn about like some of the
You sound like
motivations
my
and
ex now.
thoughts.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you get to learn about some of the motivations and thoughts of other characters. So it almost like gives you a different perspective, and you can translate that over into real life. Like like imagine the people around you as like characters in a book. They have like completely different like motivations than you do. So it gives you the opportunity to see the world through someone else's eyes, even if it's a fictional person.
No, I can respect that. I will say, probably still not for me though.
That's okay.
I would probably cheat and like have a girlfriend like read the fiction book out loud for me while she's sitting on my lap or something. Me actually reading it, I don't know. That's just me though.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I got burnt out on self-development books maybe about 2 years ago. So I felt like I had to read something, but I wanted to move on from it.
Oh, got you.
So that's how I ended up with fiction.
Well, maybe you're a future version of me. That might happen to me, and I might be picking up like manga from like the anime that I used to watch.
Maybe. I don't know. I've like this might sound bad, but
Okay.
um the reason why I can't really like get into comics is because like I've tried and maybe it's like the pictures, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Like I'll read it, I'm just like, I don't know, it's not it is just sound bad. It just doesn't feel very ordered in the way that I'm like used to reading. I'm used to like just reading a paragraph and using my imagination to like imagine what's happening in the book as if it were moving in my head. But
I
like
was
the
gonna
comic kind
say
of takes that
that's
away from
probably
me.
your issue. What you said, what I was gonna like propose.
Okay.
It's taking away the imagination part. You want to be able to visualize this yourself
Mm-hmm.
as you're reading it, and kind of fill in the gaps. And in a way, it's kind of partially your own creation. The comics take
Yeah,
that away because it's showing you exactly what it is.
exactly.
Hmm. Okay. Um, well, I hadn't actually thought about that because like I don't read fiction, so you know what? I'm gonna take another look at it and see if I can get some value out of it. I'll give it a try at some point. But kind of moving on from the anime slash comic book like kind of divergence we have for a sec. You probably already answered this, but like you have like multiple cameras, like multiple drones, and this stuff costs money. So I was gonna ask you, like, did you start off with all this stuff? And yeah, if you didn't, like, what did you start off with?
Oh, that's a really good question. I started off with a camera from 2006. It was my mom's old Nikon. It's very old. Um, like I've got a kid older than this camera, but I mean I've got the camera's older than my kid. The camera's old enough to have voting rights at this point. But yeah, I used it for the entirety of 2020. Just teaching myself how to use a camera.
Mhm.
I approached the he was playing flag football at the time. I approached like the league manager and I said, hey, I've got some pretty good pictures here. And this league had just started. I didn't know it at the time, but it just happened to start the same year in 2020. So they had like no presence online. So I was like providing them photos like of their games and stuff like that. And I go out like 3 days a week. They pay me a little bit. And I was able to save all that money and eventually be able to upgrade my equipment. So this happened in the last year um, of being like full time. I From basically the year of 2022, I earned about $20,000 like outside of my full time job by like just shooting on my off days. Like I worked on Saturdays, so like anytime like after work I would like schedule a shoot and then I worked for a small business on my off day, which was Wednesday. So I'd work for a small business, I'd make a few $1,000s every single month and I'd just save it. Well, not save it, but I'd use it to eventually upgrade my equipment. So going back to that camera from 2006, man, camera's 20 years old at this point. So
Oh,
going back to the 20-year-old camera, um, I held like a picture day for like the parents because parents love seeing like pictures of their kids. So I, like took pictures like on behalf of the league of every kid, like holding the football, every kid with their parent. Then I did like action photos of them like during the games. And I spoke to like each parent individually, like walked around with a sheet and like had them like fill out some information about their kid if they wanted to buy like a package. I sold the packages for like $33 and $44 if they want, depending on if they wanted action photos or
mhm.
not. And from that one day, I think I made like $700. So I used that $700, bought a drone, my first drone with that. Took that drone up to Chicago, and because I like went on vacation a little bit later, took the drone up to Chicago. I like loved seeing the city from above, and I was like, man, I wish there was a way that I could turn this into like what I do full time. Like, well, I didn't say that. I said I wish there was a way that I could turn this into like making money. And so every one of those buildings had to be built by somebody. And that's how I ended up like getting in with contractors, whether it's like building houses, building fences, roofing, every last one of them, like they build something and they need aerial like imagery, whether it be photos or videos of their construction site. So that's how I got into it.
So how do you find the I call him the shot caller, the person that could either set the arrangements to pay you or hire you? How do you find that person in these situations and talk to them and manage to forge a relationship to get them to hire you for these projects?
You remember that event that we met at in Mansfield?
Yeah.
They're at those events.
Hmm.
Those are the people that are actually at the table. Most of the time are like marketing people. Most of the time, if you run into like a higher up in the company, yes, those are the person that makes the decisions, but the marketing people is the one who communicates the needs of the company. They're like a go-between between you and like the higher ups. So like the higher ups are the ones who give you the final okay, but the marketing people are the ones that you need to be friends with.
Okay, and let me give the audience some context. So the event he's referencing, it was actually a business expo in a local city called Mansville, and that multiple businesses were set up, and they had like vendor booths where they're trying to sell you on their like services and products. And this was put on by the city of Mansville. So these are people that are their companies are pretty established and they're trying to get either vendors, clients, or customers. So that's what we're talking about for reference. And he's saying that oftentimes the person that's in charge of marketing or in the marketing team is at those events. So forge a relationship with that person, and they can make basically your case to the person that would be the shot caller. And before you know it, you'll be on retainer doing work for them.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a lot of things that it is part of sales, getting in front of the right person to basically prospect them. And so many people, they don't know how to get in front of the right person, but I don't think they sit down long enough just to kind of think about it. Because what you just said, people will argue that's actually kind of common sense, but it's not the first thing that comes to people's mind.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know what it is about like today's times. Everyone thinks that you just need to be like good on social media. And I mean, it's cool to have good work on social media. It's flashy, but it's not what gets you paid. It's really those relationships that do.
Yeah. Most of my clients I have gotten from in person in networking. I'm gonna be honest. Like I talk about this in other episodes, but like basically online outbound marketing, that is my least favorite form of trying to get clients because the amount of volume you got to do is just ridiculous to land something. I much rather approach people in person. They can feel my confidence. They could, I mean, it just goes so much smoother. Now, with that being said, my biggest client I ever landed, I did use online outbound marketing. I'm not saying this completely disown it. But I'm saying stop having that be your only source of marketing. Like, and even worse, some people rely on inbound online marketing. Like, okay, so I put it out there. Someone's gonna come eventually, right? Don't do that. You'll be waiting until the end of times.
Until you have to put in a resume. Put in a resume. That's how long you'll be waiting.
Yeah. But this is a good question. What is the hardest thing that you've had to figure out, like tech wise, in your like field? Has there ever been something that's kind of stumped you for a minute and you really have to put in the work to figure out how to do tech wise?
It still stumped me. I've been trying to figure out how to program this drone that I have. I bought the drone. Well, no, I got the drone as a Christmas present, the Christmas before this past Christmas. They didn't make it's called a flight controller. They didn't make the flight controller that I needed for it until maybe about 8 months or so later.
Dang.
So I tried to like pair the flight controller up to the drone itself, and so far I've got two things to work. I've connected the drone to the flight controller to the drone, and the air unit to the headset. The only other thing that I need for it to work is the remote. I cannot get the drone to understand what the remote is saying, and it's one of the toughest things that I've come up against. And I realized like my job is to fly drones and make and bring value to my clients, not to build drones. So I've taken some time to not do that. Let's put it that way.
I'm the same way. Did your tech pride kind of kick in? Like, I'm gonna figure this stuff out.
In a way, it did, but in another way, I was like, I don't have time for this. Like, I just need something. I need something that works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a teachable moment. You realizing that, because I know I can personally I'll eventually figure it out, but it's like there's an opportunity cost if something's going to take too much time. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So, assuming someone wants to be a drone pilot, well, no, we already kind of covered that. Let's just say someone just got their license, they studied, they got their license, and they're ready to go, and they want to be a freelancer like you.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to someone who's brand new in the field, like a drone pilot who's starting out as a freelancer? What advice would you give to them?
I don't know what I would tell them first. Let's see. No, I would tell them do this first, practice. Go outside, hone your skills. That's what I used to do every day after work. I'd practice just being able to fly smoothly. After that, go get a customer. Find projects that, well, I wouldn't even say go get a customer. While you're practicing your skills, do things that take photos and videos of things that you like doing. Obviously don't do anything illegal. You can't fly over roadways and stuff like that. You can fly beside them, can't fly over them. So, legally, you need to know and follow FAA protocols, because you're piloting aircraft. It's a pretty serious thing. If you do it wrong, you could end up bringing down a plane. So you definitely don't want to do anything too stupid. So after you build that portfolio, of things that you like doing, you at least have something to show clients, your first client, about some of the things that you've done. And then that's where you'll be able to find some clients. I recommend finding clients at pretty much any place that you live at has a local chamber of commerce. So if I were you, that would be the first place that I started. I would go to a local chamber of commerce, see who are the businesses in your area, and just talk to them and try to see what it is that they need, and if some of the things that you do can help address those needs.
For this person getting their first client, or let's just start off with you. I know this is a big controversial thing in the freelancing category, and people can make a case for both situations. People say that you should work for free in the beginning, at least for your first client, and people's come back to that as I got bills to pay, I ain't gonna work. But well, how else are you gonna get someone to trust you at first? But some other people say, well, you don't need to work for free. You could have a cheap rate, but you still need to get paid something. Which camp did you fall in? Did you work for free for your first client, or did you just charge some maybe lower than the standard rate just to get your foot in the door? Or
My camera's about to cut off. It overheated.
Gotcha.
Let's see. All right. Computer camera.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, we had some brief technical difficulties, but we're back on the air. I think I'll actually leave that in there. I was gonna write down the time when that happened and I edit it out in post, but I think it'd be better to actually leave it in there. Sometimes
it was
leave
quick.
stuff in there to make it a little more authentic.
Yeah. So honestly, I think I've fallen into a third category. On one end, how do I say this? On one end, I don't really agree with the working for free. But on the other end, you have to like find a way to get clients. But your free clients are never, honestly, I don't feel like your free clients are going to be the ones that pay you, and they're definitely not going to be the ones that pay you well. So what I used to do is, if my clients didn't have a budget, is I'd ask them for a donation.
Okay.
Let them set the price. Because honestly, they're probably going to pay you a lot more than what you think that your services are worth. So yeah, definitely let them set the price. If you're in that, wanting to work for free space, but yeah, so I would definitely just ask for a donation, because I mean, they're gonna feel like a bad word if they say no, you're not gonna get any money. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I kind of see what you did there. Like, yeah, someone who's brand new, that would also give you some insight into pricing, technically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I would say this, in this particular profession, like if you actually do go out and shoot some drone footage on your own, and I'd imagine shooting drone footage is actually fun too, right?
A lot of fun.
Yeah, so it's like you're having fun while you're getting your feet wet.
Yeah,
you already
the best job ever.
Yeah, you already have something that you can show potential like prospects. So It's not if they can look at what you've already produced, it's not so much of, well, I don't know if you can do it. I can see that you did it because you've already shown me you can do it. So that kind of takes away the whole point of like, okay, I'll do this for free because I'm going to quote be perceived as risky. But I can show you, you're my first client, but I can do the work, so I'm not necessarily risky.
That's why for the last question, my first answer was go get you some skills. So like take the time to practice after work before you get your first client. Because when you take the time to practice, obviously you're going to be recording that practice. You'll be practicing a few skills. You'll be practicing smooth flying. You'll be practicing how to frame a shot. Then you'll be practicing how to edit. Once you put all those three together, you have something to show your potential client once you're at the stage where you're ready for one.
And that's why that's great starting advice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like in terms of like flying a drone, like just in general, is there what protocols do you need to follow when you like start flying a drone? Like, do you need to get clearance from like any organization to start flying a drone? This is after you've gotten your license, but like, yeah,
depends on where you are. So you'll have to check basically an air map. And because we live like in a pretty densely populated area, there's airports like everywhere around here. In fact, I can't even fly my own house because I'm so close to an airport. So you have to check air maps and basically put in requests with the FAA for different places that you want to fly at. For example, the project that I flew at over the weekend was it was downwind from Love Field, but it wasn't very close to the airport, but I still had to get clearance for it.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. So there's a big market for selling drone footage, well, shooting drone footage and then selling it. I know you dabbled in that, right? So
Yes.
what are some different ways you made money doing that? Like, do you just like is there like a site where you can upload the footage? Like, hey, pay me this much and this footage is yours, or like how do you go about like selling that drone footage?
Um, okay, so my first introduction to like selling drone footage, a news agency from South Korea reached out to me about like acquiring some drone footage, which I thought was weird, but I thought was pretty cool as well. So they reached out to
What are
me
my
about acquiring
thoughts?
some drone footage. We, like talked about it. We went back and forth a little bit, came to agreement on price, and we sent the drone footage for like non-exclusive rights. Same thing happened with the Dallas Cowboys. So I've got like a non-exclusive rights deal with them for some of the footage that I shot inside their stadium when I flew a drone through their stadium while they were doing the remodel.
Okay.
What else? Oh, I've had my work put on Adobe. So if Adobe.com, you know how you can download like assets, how they have like stock footage, stock photos and video.
Hmm.
I uploaded my videos there, and obviously there's like a submission process. And if they think your footage is good enough, they'll let you sell it. And they don't let you set prices or anything, so you get whatever it is that they give you. They give you a percentage of whatever they sell, well, whatever they sell of your product.
Hmm.
hmm
Okay.
there's other platforms as well, like ArtGrid, Artlist, and something else, but I've never been able to like get into any of those.
The Korea story, that's kind of interesting because like if it was the other side of Korea, like and I think that'd be concerning. Like if you were to do that, you might end up on the terrorist watch list.
That's funny.
Yeah, but when you said it was kind of weird but kind of cool, as you said that, I was just kind of thinking that it's like a schism combining both of those. That's kind of funny. So people will not let me get out of asking this question, so I'm going to ask this so I don't have the lynch mob after me. But we got to talk about the Benjamins. Like, how much do you make as in this profession, either like annually or like monthly? Because people want to know, like, if I commit to doing this, what can I expect if I follow like the if I cultivate my sales skills and get my license? Like, what can I expect to be kind of making?
um it's year three for me. Last year, I don't know. Last year, my worst month was about $3,000, but my best months, I've done multiple $10,000 months. In
Hmm.
total, last year, I made just over $75,000.
Okay, cool. So now that I'm no longer under duress, I'll say, as far as that question goes. This probably, well, this would be pretty interesting. So, like, what's the biggest challenge like you've encountered ever since you became like self-employed?
Honestly, in the early days, knowing what it was that I'm going to do tomorrow. That's why my structure, how my day is so rigid. Let's put it that way. Because whenever you have a full-time job, most people don't realize it, but it gives you structure in life. Like you know that you're spending 8 hours a day on certain days like doing something, and like you're obligated to do these things, and you're like basically building your entire life around that. You're building, whenever you decide to eat, whenever you decide to sleep, whenever you decide to take care of yourself, go to the gym, around the schedule of going to work. You're even building your lifestyle around that, because the amount of money that you get paid is directly reflects on what type of life that you want to live. So I remember when I first like moved out here on my own, the first thing that I had to know about the job was how much I'm going to get paid, so I could pick an apartment based on how much I was going to get paid.
Hmm.
So, one of the first things whenever I first got started one of the first things that I realized is that I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't know what I'm doing the day after tomorrow. I don't have anything like that I need to do. So basically putting together a schedule for yourself. So no matter like if you're, need work, if you need to be working, or if you're already have work, you already know that there's certain things that's going to happen. So
Okay.
for me, that looks like, for example, there's going to be some days where I go to those networking events. I put those into my calendar because I missed a few this month. But yeah, if it's not in my calendar, it just doesn't exist. So I have to, like, I have to calendar everything. So I put them in my calendar, and I basically just work my schedule around that. Make sure that, obviously I'm taking care of myself, going to the gym and stuff like that. But I consider like networking to be like part of my job, even though I technically I don't get paid on it. Essentially what I do is I charge enough on the back end to make up for the gas money that I spend doing all the networking.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
of course, if you don't charge high enough prices, your customers can't enjoy your services because you'll have to go work and do something else. So there's a good reason why you have to charge high prices.
Oh yeah, it's a starting point, and things trickle down from there.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, if you don't charge high prices, they can actually start to doubt your services. Because like if you are charging too under market, like well, why are
Mm-hmm.
you charging too under market? Does that mean the quality is not going to be as good, or
Right.
it's hard to work with? Like you start filling the head with questions that don't need to be there.
Right.
Hmm. Okay, I found that funny. We said, you need to you're starting to put these in these events in the calendar, otherwise that it's not going to get done. I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
I've quite literally, like, y'all could learn at my expense, but one of my friends, she had a birthday last year, and she didn't do the normal, like, send out like text reminders or email reminders, anything like that. And I could have sworn I thought it was on a different day, but yeah, I woke up and then I realized that like I had missed her birthday party. I was like, oh crap. So I
That's
sent her.
terrible.
Yes, that's terrible. And I sent her a pretty reasonable like Amazon gift card, and she like paid me, but I still felt bad for it, and it's because I didn't put it in my calendar. I was like, I can't believe I let that happen. So that learn at my expense, audience. Use that damn calendar.
Definitely. Obviously I felt like I didn't need it as much like when I worked a full-time job because of the nature of my job. I knew, like, I've got like a time block of what I can't do anything else while I'm at my job. So I had like fewer commitments. But when you're self-employed, you have a lot of commitments. And if you don't stay on top of it, it can definitely take control of your life.
Right. Yeah. So in a minute we're gonna start winding down the podcast, but
Okay.
I gotta ask because I know you have a YouTube channel and it got monetized last year. You want to tell
Hmm.
us more about your YouTube channel?
Oh, sure. I basically talk about what it is that I do in my business for my YouTube channel. So, originally I started my YouTube channel because I had two clients when I first quit my job. So, when I first quit my job, I had two clients that were on monthly retainer. I basically hit the ground running, like when I left my job. I had two clients. They both paid enough to cover the amount of money that I was making at my full-time job, and just a little bit more, honestly. So I did that for
I wonder you
about
were incentivized to quit.
exactly. Exactly. Well, okay, I had one of them before I quit, and then maybe the week after I quit, I picked up the other one.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah. So at the same time, maybe about 4 months later, one of the clients fell pregnant, and the other one decided. that he wasn't seeing results for his YouTube channel that I was managing soon enough, because they had just started maybe, like I said, 4 months earlier. So like I said, these kinds of things take time as far as like YouTube goes. I think it wasn't until my 106th video that like my channel like actually started to grow and blew up. So I mean, it does like take patience and persistence, but I say all that to say, I did the YouTube channel as almost, it was back when I was having doubts about if I could do this full time. So I started the YouTube channel as a way to document my journey. And I got consistent, with YouTube, almost like treating it like a part-time job. And now that it's making money, it really is a part-time job. But I started treating it as, like I said, I started treating it like a part-time job and just having it as like a portfolio builder. If I didn't have any projects that were coming in, I could basically just use my YouTube channel as an excuse to myself to create the content that I should be making for potential clients. Luckily, I've never really needed it, so I just like show off the work that I do for my clients on my YouTube channel.
And what's your YouTube channel called for the audio listeners?
It's named after me. So if you look up James Travis, I finally beat the driving instructor. So I'm going to be the first James Travis that ranks. If you look up James Travis, but in
I
the
was
off chance
thinking
that you
that because
don't,
that is probably a lot of James Travises on YouTube.
exactly, I've got a very common name. So in the off chance that you can't find it, my username is James Travis 21, all one word, and it'll definitely take you there.
Okay, and we will leave a link in the description and also the pinned comment, so y'all can
Appreciate
definitely check
that.
his channel out. Go there and subscribe. And he has some pretty awesome drone shots over there too. So a
Oh,
lot of what
thank
we're
you.
talking about, you can kind of get a visual of like his skill set. And if you are a tech person, being a drone pilot, that might be something you want to look into. Keep in mind, you do need to develop the sales skills because without sales,
Definitely, definitely.
but we
There's
made
some
it.
really good drone pilots out there that you know, probably can do professional level work, but they just don't have the clientele.
Yeah, that's why we've done multiple shows on essentially sales and networking because that's really it doesn't matter what service you offer. That's only going to be like 30% of it. The other 70% is actually getting the clients and the sales and networking.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
Yeah,
you're going to hire someone to do the sales for you and pay them, which you
that's an
can, but
option.
like you're not
Yeah.
going to make as much money. But yeah, well, at least in the beginning. But yeah,
Right, right. But yeah, honestly, like you just said, I spend probably about 70% of my time doing like the boring stuff, well, the boring stuff of networking, follow-ups, stuff like that. But the 30% that's actually the fun stuff is like just going out and flying and getting able to see. Okay. Sorry, my wife just texted me. But the 30% is just doing the fun stuff, going out to like all these awesome shoots. And I get to like see, it's almost like going on a field trip every single day. So that's one
ooh,
of the main reasons why I love the thing that I do.
I like that analogy, like a field trip every single day.
And I get to learn so much. Like there was this one time where I was like flying through AT&T Stadium and they were doing like the demolition. Um, and I was, because I had walked the site, by the time like the drone lifted off, they were doing something different from what they were doing when I was walking the site. And through the goggles, it looked, well, water just looks different through goggles for some reason, like on the drone. And it was poorly lit because they had tore out all the lights. So I'm
Mhm.
like flying and I see like, something. I couldn't really tell what it was, but I'm like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Like my spotter could see what the drone saw as well. And he was like, oh, they're watering the site. And I was
Mhm.
like, I never knew that they needed to water the site to keep the dust from coming up whenever
Wow.
they destroy something.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the local people should be grateful for that.
Yeah, right, right. I don't know. I felt like I breathed in a lot of I-30 over the weekend.
Oh, maybe you should be doing a detox soon. But yeah, I would say I got one more question for you. Then we'll wind down the show. But I always ask my guests if they have a question that they want to hit me with. So James, do you have any questions you want to hit me with?
I think one of the things that this guy that while I was shooting football, he had sold his business. He was essentially like doing whatever he wanted to do with his day.
Okay.
So yeah, he had told me like the story about like how he built like a printing business and sold it for like a little over $1 million. So he was in the period of where he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do next. And he'd always ask me, when are you going to quit your job? And I guess that's going to be my question for you.
Well, what's the synonym for job? Because I don't have a job. So like, you mean like when I'm going to quit, like what exactly?
You have a full-time occupation or no?
No, I haven't had a job since 2017.
I see you. Okay.
No, I think I would be that's what I meant by I asked if you were part of the psychologically unemployable club. Yeah, that's cool, me too.
Okay. Now I got to come up with a better question. Dang, and I like launched into it with this cool story and everything like that. Okay, that's going to be a question for the audience. That's going to be a question for the audience.
Hey, put in the comment section, everyone. When are y'all going to quit your jobs?
Yeah, we're going to change that up. We're going to ask the question to the audience. We're going to ask you to leave that in the comments. What's your plan? I want to know some details. For real, I think that's so interesting. Like how people think about the things that they do. Unless you really love your job. And then if you really love your job, please don't quit, because like, definitely need people that are still working. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna push back on that, James. To be honest, I would say my goal is to eliminate the employee model. I think it's an outdated model that no longer serves the current marketplace.
I still need doctors and dentists.
No. I'm not saying get rid of the professions. Get rid of the category of employee. The concept of an employee is a fairly new phenomenon historically. But it was really produced during wartime because they needed, for lack of a better word, drones to work these factories. But before then, people were what we know is it was much closer to being a contractor, or more or less a freelancer. You had your trade, you had your skill, and you served your local community with that, but you set your own rates, and your rates were dependent on how much value you could bring to your local area. That's why people's last names used to refer whatever their skill set was, whether it be baker or blacksmith, Smith. And I'm not saying we got to go back to our last names being our professions, but
I would love that.
Freelancing, huh?
I said I would love that. My last name is Travis. That means traveler.
Okay, good for you. But I'm saying, like, you mentioned doctors. There's a huge movement of doctors that are starting private practices and serving and setting up private concierge to service their clients.
Yes,
that's essentially a version of what we're talking about here. In that profession.
Honestly, yes, but honestly, we're gonna have to agree to disagree with that one, because for me, as long as employment is tied into healthcare, I don't think having everybody be private contractors is the best way to move forward. If we could separate work employment from healthcare, I mean, yes, I think that would be an amazing thing.
Well, it's already kind of happening, regardless if we wanted to or not, unfortunately. But that is a good point. So it's more or less like that part of the benefit package is very ingrained into it. So you would like to see that keep going as long as possible. Fair enough. But I am taking note because I see you looking to the right. It's probably around the time for you to address the kiddos, right?
No, I'm looking to the left because I'm actually looking at you on the camera. My camera's back up.
Oh yeah, I figured because
Yeah.
it switched at some point.
Yeah.
I didn't actually realize it switched until like when you were talking. Like, wait, is other cameras back? Oh, okay. But yeah, I'll just say this: I want people to be aware that there's an option to be a freelancer or a contractor or an entrepreneur. And honestly, entrepreneur and freelancer are two different categories, if you ask me. Entrepreneur, usually, I feel like you need to have people working for you to fit in the entrepreneur bucket, like you're paying people to perform. Versus everyone can be like a freelancer or a contractor because you can work for yourself and more things are on your own terms. So I want people to be aware of these three, and you can reasonably pick which one you want to be: employee, freelancer, entrepreneur. And if you choose to be an employee, fair enough. But so many people think that's the only option they have.
It's very true.
Yeah. But with that being said, James, where can people get more with you? Like, where can people find you? Feel free to drop your website, and you might get a client or two out of this because a lot of business owners listen to my show.
Gotcha. The three places where you'll find me at, obviously, like we said earlier, would be the YouTube channel. James Travis or James Travis 21 would be my username. You'll find my YouTube channel where I talk about the realistic side of being self-employed. The other place to find me would be LinkedIn. It's going to be way harder to find me there because obviously my name's James Travis. Let me see if I can find, well, we'll add it into the description afterward. My LinkedIn channel, and then my website is godspeeddevelopment.com. That's where you can see the work that I've done in the past. And yeah, those are going to be the best three places where you can find me.
Right. And I'm looking to the side because I'm going to pull up his channel real quick. That way you can make sure you have the right one. It's just StreamYard changed from words to these icons. So it doesn't instantly click like which one I should be clicking on. I prefer the words instead of like these pictures, but whatever. But y'all can see on the screen. Yeah, this is James' YouTube channel. We're going to link it in the description, but I just wanted to
you found it. Cool.
Yeah. And all I did was type in your name. So like, yeah, the virtual real estate really is yours now. I just typed in James Travis.
Hey, I finally beat that driving instructor.
Yeah. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close out this episode of the Side Hustle Society. If you found value in this video, if you can give this video a thumbs up, greatly appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Check out James using the links that will be provided in the description and also the pinned comment. Everyone be safe and be profitable, and we'll catch you in the next video or the next show.
This episode may be over, but your hustling journey has just started. Visit thesidehustlersociety.com to access all links and resources mentioned in the show that will help you on your hustler's journey.